So here I'm going to demonstrate the step-down pulley system that I created. Now I put a 1.5 amp VGK motor on my Singer 1590, and that was to make it stronger, but then of course that just makes it faster. And if you try to go slower, even if you say take your electronic foot control and dial it to, this one I think is dialed to maybe 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock. When you do so, that will slow it down, but it also decreases the power going in. So that is a little bit helpful to have an electronic foot control with that little rheostat type dial. I don't know if that's what you call it for sure. But even though I have that foot control and this motor, I wasn't able to go slow over, say, heavier fabric. And it just wants to go fast. And what I did was I created the step-down pulley system, and I'll have everything, my shopping list, showing on the screen either before or after this video. And this is a piece of fold-over elastic. You know, it's kind of shiny and slippery, and this slides back and forth as the 2-inch pulley here spins. This is the one that gets the power. So the motor gives the power to the 6-inch pulley, and the 6-inch pulley gives the power to the 2-inch pulley and then to the hand wheel. But it slows everything down as well. So this has so many revolutions per minute, which gives this a smaller amount of revolutions per minute, which gives this the same amount of revolutions per minute as this, but then this gives the bigger hand wheel less revolutions per minute. So you figure out all the math, and it comes down to really reducing your revolutions per minute or your stitches per minute. So anyways, you'll see that I have this shopping list, like I said, will be shown on screen from McMaster Carr, where I got these 2 nylon pulleys. And without further ado, I'll show you how I can go slow over heavier fabric. Now this is 4 layers of marine vinyl, and I can go slow. There's no humming of the motor when I try to do so. It's perfect. It's just perfect. So here we go. You can see how slow I can go. And it's just gliding through the fabric. And now I'll put the camera on the pulley, and you can kind of see, you might be able to see, if I could get the angle correct, you'll be able to see this slide back and forth. What this is doing is it's creating a tighter wrap around the 2-inch pulley. Because what happens when you encounter heavy fabric, this 2-inch pulley, it wants to start moving, and it actually arcs. So this belt kind of arcs up, which means the belt loses contact with the pulley. So this little, it's my own homemade idler pulley, makes sure that that wrap stays tight, but not too tight. This is probably about, I don't know, 1.5 inches, 2 inches here. So I'll go ahead and I'll stitch again, and you'll watch this kind of slide back and forth. It's kind of neat. So here we go. Isn't that neat? And I can go really fast too if I want. Take my pins out, or my clips. Okay, and then I'll go back to going slow. And I can pulse the foot pedal if I just want to make a half a stitch. Say if I want, bring this back over. Say if I want like my needle to go in the up position or the down position, I just pulse the foot pedal. And it went down more, up, up. Now say I want to go down into the fabric. Okay. There you go. I went down in wherever I wanted. It's just amazing. And I can go through a 1/4 inch of fabric, heavy fabric, with like marine vinyl and other fabric and interfacing, leather, and like I can go through 8 layers of marine vinyl. So normally this would either be really fast, or if I try to go slow, it would hum. The motor would hum. Like say if I had the electronic foot controller dialed, you know, to 8 or 9 o'clock, trying to make it slow, well then I just get a humming motor in heavy fabric. So I'm going to dial the hand wheel so it's coming, needle's coming out a little. And I'll make a turn. I'm going to trim this. So, let's see. I wanted a thicker, oh, here's my thick one. This is, I have several hump jumpers, several types of hump jumpers that I've just made out of leather. And let's see, I'll go maybe 2 stitches. 1, and now I don't think I'm going to be 1/8 of an inch away, so I'm going to kind of pump this and use my stitch length lever. So I'll pump it to go down, and then when this edge of the fabric gets halfway into this bar, that's how I know I'm 1/8 of an inch away. But that's just, you know, everybody's feet are different. And this is an aftermarket foot. It's a blind hem foot, and it's just a aftermarket adapter. And let's see, so I'll pump it up. And now it's actually too far. The edge is too far. So I'm going to take my stitch length lever over here and just push it up to get where I want to be. So it moved it. And I think that should be about right. I'm just going to maybe touch the needle there. And I'll pivot it to make sure. And I'm almost where I want to be. So I'm going to take my hand wheel back, push this over, lift the foot lever, push that, and then come down. So if that's right where I want to come down, I think I'm good. Okay, and I'm already on the fabric, so I don't need this. And so I'll push my lever down to get back to my longest stitch length, and we will just proceed. how slow I can go. And I can go fast. Go back to going slow. And I always make sure, like, the fabric that I'm using, I make sure that I can actually dial down into it with my hand wheel, just so that I don't ever break my needle bar, you know, because you don't want to plow through fabric density that your components of your machine are not thick enough to handle. In other words, you know, the industrials have a bigger needle bar, bigger horizontal shaft, and all that stuff. But, I mean, these singers were made pretty strong, so I've been really happy with this. Now, it looks like I came all the way to the end on this. I didn't actually mean to come that far to the end. I forgot. But I'll go all the way down. I guess I'll go. I'm pumping it. And I'll take my stitch length lever, dial my hand. Okay, so my hand wheel's going to come straight down. I guess that's about good. So I'll dial it so the needle's coming up. Put this back. And I'll go, I think, push my lever down. I always, whenever I pivot, I make sure I push my lever down, because on the corners are where we adjust things. So I have my stitch length lever down, presser foot down. Okay, so I'm probably not going to get to the end, but I'm kind of okay with that. I don't know. Maybe I will try to get to this stitch. So I'll pump it and then take my lever and dial it. Well, I want to be right on this stitch line. So as long as this stitch line is showing in this window. Okay, as I dial down, it's going a little past. So let me push the lever up. And then I can come down. And then I'll go back, 1, forward, and back. Okay. And yeah, I started too close to the edge, but so there you go. It's just so nice to be able to have a slow machine and to be able to go through all that thick fabric, beautiful stitches, just gorgeous. And then the back, there we go. So that's the back. And there's the front. Looks like I went off up a little right there, but it's really nice. And just so you know, I can go through, let's see if I can get something with 8 layers. These are all these tabs that I did. There's 8 layers here. I can do that. I can do another row right here. So this is 2 layers going to 8 layers. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 4 here. So I'll start at the bottom and I'll line this 1/8 inch foot with this line so that I'll go 1/8 inch down. And got my presser foot. First, what I'll do is I'll put my stitch length lever all the way down, and then I'll dial down, lift up my foot, take my thread to the left, my top thread, because my machine threads from right to left. Put this behind flat side. I don't really need it, that's right, because this is just 2 layers. I could use one of my really thin ones that are 2 layers if I want. I really don't need it. And when I dial down, you'll notice this gets loose, and so I pull the tension. So you could see I pulled the tension tight. And usually I pull it till I just see the check spring start to move. And I'll take 1 stitch forward and then back. Sometimes I tighten them both threads. I pull them, and now I'll go back and then forward. When I get to this incline, I'm going to use my homemade hump jumper that I made. If I can find it, here it is, this one. And it's 4 layers of leather, and it's graduated, and I can adjust it. I just really like it. So we'll go ahead, and I've got my stitch length lever all the way down, my presser foot down. My tension, by the way, is on 5. 4 is when this screw is level, so 5 is what I've been using. And my bobbin tension is at about 50. So I'm at 50 grams on my bobbin tension using a TOA gauge, and at 5 on top. And this is Tex 69 bonded nylon thread, longest stitch length. So we'll go forward until I start to see my foot slant. So I'm going to pump it to get it down. Now it's starting to slant just a little bit, and I can take this graduated one, and I can actually just put this leg of it behind, and that just leveled it off. So I didn't push it too far up against the needle, but just enough to level my foot. And I'll take maybe 2 more stitches, or maybe 1 even, to see where, if the foot is still level. Okay, it's somewhat level. I can lift up my presser foot and push it in now all the way to the back of the needle. And we'll go forward 1 more stitch. And I'm going to keep pushing it as I go up this hill. You know, lift my presser foot, push the hump jumper to the back of the needle, put down the presser foot, and I'll take 1 more stitch. I'm not lined up though, but oh well. Okay, lift and push. You see how thick? I just went into 8 layers, and it just went in like butter. And I'll lift and push. And now I'll be directly on top of this, so I'll go maybe 3 or 4 stitches. I'm trying to pump it or go slow, just so you can see. Okay, so now right here, it's going to start going downhill. And I'm going to take this with the graduated portions, slide this up, and put it under, because the needle's going to come through this channel. I'll lift my presser foot. I hope my needle is down enough. I think it is. Okay. Push this forward, just to make sure that that's going to be level as it travels down. Now this edge here is not going to come in contact with the needle. But what I want to do is I want to make sure over here that I still see my edge of my fabric, or in this case, this stitch line, because I'm lining this up with this. So I'll take one more stitch. Okay. And push this up, push down the presser foot. Maybe pull this to the left a little. Okay. And I'll take one more stitch. Okay. And I'll lift up and kind of push this up. I think I'm good as far as pushing it up. I think I can just stitch all the way down, watching this and this line. And keeping my fingers like, you know, right here and here. On this and on the fabric underneath it. Foot is still level. Still level. And I think that's good. I'm probably going to leave this in though, because I'm going to do one back stitch, forward, back, and I want to leave this in so that the foot will stay level as it travels backwards. So take up my stitch length lever up, and I'll go 1 forward, 2 back, and then I'll pump it up. Okay. Take this out. Let's see how I did. Not bad. I do have a tendency to come wider. You notice it's wider from here to here when I start coming off the hill. I've been working on that. I've been getting better. You can see this one I did a couple days ago, and I did a good job with it. And this is how I make my tabs now. I stitched the first one at 1/4 of an inch, then I put the D-ring on, and I stitched this pass at 1/8 of an inch. Kind of neat. So, and here's the back. And you could see, you know, even though my tension, you know, is the same throughout all layers, it really doesn't look bad on the back as far as, you know, if the bobbin is showing or not showing. And this wouldn't show because, you know, it's a top stitch. And if you were doing, you know, a strap like I showed at the beginning, you would have your tension set just for those amount of layers. But, I mean, it's not bad. So I had to kind of find a marriage or a good compromise between my top and bottom tension, because I'm going from, you know, 2 layers to 8 layers. So, but the front looks good too. Can't see any. You see nice defined stitches. So it's just amazing. Like, this step down pulley has changed my life. And this belt here is just aquarium tubing. I think it's top fin, and it measures on a caliper. It measures 5.75 millimeters in diameter. So putting it on mils. I'm not right-handed. Let me zero it out, and then okay, so it's like 5. That's not right. It must have moved. Try to get down. So it's saying 5.47, but it could be because it's stretched more on here. When it's not stretched, it's about 5.75. And it's just really flexible. I love it. And this is a, I just can't seem to get it to want to focus. There we go. This is a 6-inch nylon pulley from McMaster Carr. It's got a 1/4-inch channel, V channel, and this is a 2-inch diameter pulley. And they're held together by the pins, and they're held on a sleeve. And it's a brass oil-embedded sleeve. It's real short, and it's deep inside there, and that goes through the boring hole. And then the pins from these pulleys screw in to that sleeve. And then that sleeve rides on this shoulder screw. This is just one of those shoulder screws that has just smooth, it's a smooth shaft, but then it has a few threads at the end. That was kind of an issue for me, is that I wish that the threaded part was longer, because this nut that's holding everything together is only screwed in halfway. I don't know if you could tell. You know, it's not screwed, but it's tight. And then this L bracket is really heavy. It's 1/8 of an inch thick from McMaster Carr. And this is bolted down to this platform that I just sawed off from an old desk. About, 5/8 of an inch thick or something like that. And it's bolted in down here with the same L bracket as this one here, this yellow one. These are from like vertical blinds. They're like up at the top. And it's really a nice bracket. I have 4 of them. And it's thin, which is what I needed, because since my shoulder screw threads were so short, this 1/8 inch one wasn't going to work. But I like the fact that I'm using this now, because I raised up these 2 pulleys. So if you notice, these 2 pulleys, and let me get the light so it's not glaring. So if you'll notice, the center of these 2 pulleys, which is right here, is level, and my light is in the way, but that center is on the same horizontal plane as the hand wheel center. And so the reason I did that, the reason I lifted it up so high with this bracket, is because that allowed the wrap around this 2-inch pulley where all the power is generated. It allowed this wrap to be tighter on top, to snug up better. And because I was having slipping of this belt on the 2-inch pulley when I would encounter heavy fabric. And that's because when I would encounter heavy fabric, this would spin, but the belt would arc up, which meant it lost contact with the pulley, which means it spins. So by bringing it up and making this center level with the hand wheel center, I created a tighter arc. In addition to that, I put this fold over elastic on to just tighten it even more. And it's really not, like you can see, it's not much of an angle. It's somewhat of an angle, here. So it only needed a little bit of tightness. And you can see here, I just basically sewed this, and the knots are inside. Sewed it in 4 spots. They come together and they slide over this even, but the last knot, the last stitch, is a quilter's knot. So I buried the knot inside. So I made a knot before I went in the last hole, pulled it, and snapped the knot to the inside. So both the beginning knot and the ending knot are inside. And it seems to work, and because this is silicone, they're just pinholes. They don't make, the tension doesn't slice it. Whereas the rubber Amish belt, it did. I tried that with the rubber Amish belt. You can't use the rubber Amish belts on this because, you can, but I didn't like it because it made the motor heat up too much. It's not as flexible. And also, it did slice into it a little bit, not bad. The Amish belts come with that little barb thingy, or is that what it's called? I think. And it's like this long, but it doesn't arc over these small pulleys, especially this small motor pulley and even this 2-inch pulley. Instead of it curling, because it's a straight barb, it's a tiny little thing, it's like a tangent line on a circle. So it ended up creating, every time it would go over these small pulleys, it weakened the belt, and then all of a sudden the belt just came apart. So, those Amish belts are made for treadles that have the bigger wheels. So, in a bigger wheel, it's not going to be a tangent when it comes around the curve. It'll follow it and so on. So at any rate, this belt seems to work the best. And you'll notice that I have this little clamp on here. And what this is it's pinning these two pulleys together as if they were welded together, because just having the little pins on the pulleys screwed into the sleeve in there, the little brass sleeve, just having those little pins, it wasn't enough. It's like you're putting all the power and responsibility on two little pins. So a friend of mine who's a mechanical engineer told me that by wrapping this, and all this is a hose clamp. Here they are. 12-piece hose clamp set from Mark's for $1.49. And I used one that was just slightly bigger than the circumference of this. And you only tighten it a little bit because you don't want it so tight that it kind of damages your insides, your spinning. And so it's amazing what this does is it puts the responsibility now on a bigger circumference, of the power is on this bigger circumference instead of two little pins going down in. And then you see there's two washers here, and then there's a little gap, I believe, and then another washer. And on this side, I just used, and I know I can't get the camera in that tight, but there's this clamp here. I forgot what it's called. It's like it'll be on the shopping list. It's like a coupler or something, but it kind of fills in the space on that shoulder screw. But there is like a millimeter gap that these two pulleys can slide back and forth from left to right to self-center themselves, because you'll notice they're, perfectly parallel to each other and in line like this this belt from the hand wheel is perfectly in, not just parallel, but on the same horizontal or vertical plane, you could call this, but they're on the same plane as the 2-inch hand wheel, whereas the motor is on the same plane as the 6-inch. And this can kind of self-center itself. And so the motor can be moved up or down. It can be put anywhere now. It doesn't even have to be, you know, down low. I actually raised up the motor because I wanted to make sure when I tilt back the machine that the motor wouldn't hit the table. And so by raising it up, you know, these machines are narrower up at the top, so it allowed me to clear the table. I can tilt this all the way back and nothing is going to hit this. Like the hand wheel won't hit this or anything. The way I had to move this motor back was really hard to figure out because I wanted to use a motor mount that still had the curve. And this is an old vintage one. It's just an L-shaped bracket, but it wouldn't allow the motor to go back enough. So I had to put over here on the side of this, I had to put brackets on this bracket, and then those brackets were attached to the motor. And then, you know, you have to make sure it's level and everything. So it was really hard to do that. You might be able to see, here's one of the brackets. It just happened to be an L bracket. And to be honest, I mean, I'm not even using, you know, this part of the L. It's just that these other holes were in the right place. And you have to, of course, make sure that your bolts, you could see my 2 bolts there, kind of there, and then that one, you have to make sure that they don't damage your machine. Now this one here, the one on the left, you can see that it's kind of long. If I can get it. But it's not hitting the machine. But I did buy some shorter bolts, and they're flathead bolts so that, you know, they would, the flat part wouldn't be rounded. And then they're shorter than that one that you see there. So I really don't have to worry then about it hitting the machine, but I haven't put those in yet because I'm still fiddling around with the brackets. You can see there's a bracket right here. So that was kind of hard. So for right now, I'm just kind of letting it go until I, you know, figure things out a little bit better. So, and then down here, I meant to show that I also, in addition to putting that L bracket in for this table, I put these 2 brackets in. These are just shelf brackets. You could see they L up. I guess I could have gotten a longer one to go all the way. There's a better shot of everything. And the dimensions for all of this, like, you can see how this is, you know, right up against the table. And I have a little gap here just for if I wanted to move it back and forth. The dimensions for that table are, this here shelf is about 10.5 inches long, and I wish I had my narrower ruler. It's about 5.5 inches wide. There's that 5 3/4 wide. And like I said, you know, you want it to be substantial. And that looks like it's a 5/8 thick. And then the distance between my centers here, this ruler's not going to be long enough because I moved these centers back. So let me grab the longer ruler. Okay, so the centers from here to here, I'm not going to be able to do this one-handed. Let's see. Are about, it looks like 15 inches from center to center, something like that. You can see the 15 there is kind of in the center of that pulley and that hand wheel. So the height of the centers looks like it's about, so kind of look at that bolt right there, that bolt, about 6 1/4. And then you see the height of the pulley is like somewhere around 9 inches. So that gives you an idea of, you know, how to set it up if you ever wanted to recreate this. And, you know, I wanted everything to be on the top. I didn't want to put it down below because I didn't want to change my motor or my mounting here. And I did want to be able to see everything. And I wanted to be able to feel my motor every so often. And I'm going to buy a laser thermometer to shoot at the motor just to check it. I read that you don't want it to get above 179 degrees Fahrenheit. So that's why I wanted everything to remain on top. Gut everything, and I actually have another shelf just like this down below in case I ever do decide to put everything down below and have the pulley stick up here and have my mounting and everything be down there, but I don't think I'll ever do it. I really like it up here. So I'm really happy with this. I was going to experiment a little bit with a different belt. I did buy a 3/8 inch silicone belt, but it doesn't work at all. And, you know, it's just too wide. It's okay for the hand wheel, but it's not flexible enough, so it doesn't wrap around these smaller pulleys well, especially the 2-inch. It doesn't give that wrap. Even with this on, it's just too strong. And they do, the same company, Uxel on Amazon, they sell this silicone belt in a 7mm diameter, and also a 6mm diameter. So I thought about ordering it in the 6mm diameter because the wall on that one is thinner, so it might be flexible like this one from Top Fin. This is just aquarium tubing. So I thought about ordering either one of those or both of them, but I mean, this is working. I don't like the blue color, but I might try the 7mm and the 6mm Uxel ones. Maybe. We'll see. Maybe when I get up enough gumption to redo my brackets here so that I can get this motor back without a lot of ugly brackets, maybe I'll address everything. But for right now, I'm just having so much fun having a slow machine for heavy fabric, but power, torque, because this increases torque as well as slowing it down. And I did a formula for my torque, and I think I went from 30, how is torque measured? Millinewtons, or Newton meters, or millinewtons, and then you can convert it to grams, just like with a TOA tension gauge. And I went from like 30 grams of torque to 270 grams of torque, I believe. I'd have to get my notes, but it was amazing, the power that you get with these step-down pulleys. And then my speed went from like, I'll have to get my notes, one sec. Okay, so my torque went from 30 grams to 210 grams of torque. That's amazing, and these are all my formulas and so on that allowed me to arrive at all of that. Here's more, if anybody wants to screenshot this. My degree is in mathematics, so that's why I'm so interested in all this stuff. And then, like I said, I have a friend who's a mechanical engineer, and he's been advising me throughout this. And then here's my stitches per minute, or revolutions per minute. And so I went from my machine having, M for machine, having 8,000 revolutions per minute down to 6 stitches per second. Let's see. That was per minute. Where did I go? Okay. So I went from 8,000 revolutions per minute to 381 revolutions per minute with the step down, which equates to 6 stitches per second. And you could see I can get a quarter of a stitch just by pumping the electronic foot pedal. And I don't know if it makes a difference if you have a foot pedal that has that round rheostat inside that lets you dial, because a lot of the cheap ones don't have that. And this foot controller is one of the good ones. It's rated for 1.4 amp motor. Now my motor is 1.5 amp, but I was told that it's okay. It's okay, just that 0.1 amp difference. So, and it's it's the one on the back. It says Hyman Trade. There we go. So it's max 1.4 amp. But Hyman Trade is the manufacturer, and theirs are just better quality foot controllers if you could find one by them. So that's kind of my journey, and I'm sure I'll probably, recreate it and so on. I thought about getting the speed reducer from Weaver Leather, and that one will take, it says, a 3/8 inch belt, but somebody wrote in and said it really doesn't take a 3/8 inch belt, that it takes a narrower belt than 3/8. And they actually said that they went and bought one of those red twist belts for his machine. Now he had an industrial, and I did see that, red twist belts do come in 1/4 inch, because I thought about using that for this. I think it was Fennel was the name of the company, or something like Fenner or Fennel. But I wouldn't be able to use this idler pulley on those red twist belts because they're ratcheted, so it wouldn't slide. And then I couldn't get a price that was realistic because, you know, it's an industrial company, so I'd have to call customer service on Monday and so on. But I don't know if I need that. Going through them is the only place I could find a 1/4 inch red twist belt. I couldn't find it on Amazon. They were all 3/8 or 5/8. However, my point being, if I were to get the one from Weaver Leather, now Weaver Leather said that the reviewer on Weaver Leather said that his 3/8 inch belt didn't fit that slot on their pulleys. I don't understand that though. That slot looked pretty big in the picture. Now this belt says it's 3/8, but it's really 9 millimeters. It's not a full 3/8. So who knows? This belt could work with their system. I don't know. So their system comes with the 2 pulleys are already pinned together. And their sleeve, they don't have just a sleeve bearing in there that's oil embedded that allows it to spin. Theirs is actually a flanged sleeve bearing. So you can see the flange just kind of sticking out, and you know, I'm sure it's very long and it goes all the way through, and their bolt is more secure and everything. Like, everything is better. Now, the reviewer said that their L bracket wasn't very strong, but this one is from McMaster Carr. So I could still just use this, but I want to raise it up, so you know, I probably would still use this setup unless I found a better bracket. I don't know. And who knows, their bolt might not even go through these little holes. So I could always just get another one of these, and if I'm using their system, maybe, I don't know. Or just get a longer bracket and so on. But I don't know. I mean, I kind of think that it would be nice to just have 2 L brackets so that it almost looks like these are on pillow blocks. And I thought about the pillow block idea, but then you have to raise it up. Those pillow blocks are down low. And then I saw a square box with just, you know, bars, a square box that could sit on here that would lift up those pillow blocks. I saw that somewhere. I can't remember where. But I mean, for right now, it's spinning, and this is not slipping with this on. So they are connected to each other better, and it's just working. And all of these supplies from McMaster Carr, believe it or not, were $100, and that's how much the Weaver Leather speed reducer is, $115. So the reason I didn't get theirs was because I was afraid I couldn't use the pulley or the belts on this hand wheel. But this seems to be okay. This 3/8 inch or 9 millimeter belt seemed to fit okay on the hand wheel. It just didn't do well on the pulleys. It kept falling off, you know, these 1/4 inch pulleys, but maybe it would fit the Weaver Leather one. So that's another option if somebody wanted to try theirs and just try either the 3/8/9 millimeter belt from Amazon made by Uxel. Try that. Or try the red twist ones. They're on Amazon too, with Weaver's System. But then of course, you can't use this. So then I don't know if you're going to have that arcing. Maybe with their system you won't. I don't know. I don't know. So there you go. I know this is a long video. There's so much to tell, and I wish I could show you the motor and the brackets and so on. But anyways, there you go. And if anybody has any questions, you can always write me, or my website, WeQuilt Studio. There's like a contact page on there that you can write me. And try to get this out of the way. So I'd be more than happy to help anybody, or if somebody knows better than me on how to make this better, I'd love to hear from you as well. All right, guys. We'll see you next time. Bye.